Hey folks, John Havlicek here with another edition of Common Grounds. The word of the day is budget surplus. This is in the news every couple of days, and it probably will be until it gets resolved. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of political maneuvering, and then of course the spin doctors are going to come in, and everybody's going to tell you that they got what they wanted. So Tony Evers is governor, Robin Vos, the Speaker of the Assembly, leader of the Assembly, and I think it's Devin LeMahieu is over in the state Senate. It sounds like there's a little bit of a compromise, at least in broad strokes. Some money will be used to reduce property taxes. Some will increase school funding a little bit. I think these are steps in the right direction. I want to give a quick shout out to the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, Wisconsin Public Radio, State Affairs. These are all the places where I go and find this news, and I just bring it to you, right? They're doing the heavy lifting. So what's going on here? Well, first, you got to know a little background. School funding, about 15 years ago, was decoupled from inflationary increases coming from the state. So, like in 2011, the state arbitrarily cut their funding by 5% or more in the 2011 budget. And then they separated it from inflationary increases. Sometimes the schools got a $0 increase from the state, and we've never caught up. I think, and you can check the numbers on this for your school district, right? I think here in La Crosse, it's about an $18 million deficit that we've got against inflation right now. Just inflationary increases. Not even talking about the shiny new thing or whatever. Just inflation, just treading water, right? But at the same time, there have been really big increases associated with these voucher programs, in particular the special needs vouchers. State funding has lagged for special education reimbursement, even when the state promised to do better and then didn't. Okay. And Republicans in state government keep pointing to Tony Evers' 400-year veto. Okay. Well, credit where credit is due. Republicans are better at naming things than Democrats. Okay. But they keep pointing to that as the reason property taxes are rising. Well, hold on. That ignores the fact that over all these budgets, when Republicans were in control, they weren't even giving inflationary increases to the school districts. So the school districts were losing ground every year. And it's also a bit of a bait and switch, because what Evers did was he gave school districts the authority to raise their revenue limit. Didn't actually raise property taxes, right? Now, about 80% of schools did incorporate that revenue limit and increase their property taxes, right? But what it doesn't tell you is that 70% of school districts were going to receive less money this year than they got last year, regardless of the fact that inflation has been really high these last few years. And these school districts are just trying to make up the difference. Okay? I think our common ground here is even not just looking at schools, although I hope we both think our schools should be properly funded. I'm okay paying taxes. I really am. But, why are my taxes going up or staying the same or whatever? Where are my tax dollars going? Republicans in the state legislature seem to be pretty okay with collecting state income taxes or sales taxes or whatever and spending them on their priorities. And their priorities seem to be really focused on tax breaks for the wealthy, tax breaks for themselves. If you don't believe me, you can look that up. And tax breaks for corporations. They defund the schools, and then they force you to actually vote to raise your own taxes in terms of property taxes. So I'm not real happy, and I think this is common ground, about my taxes going into the pockets of somebody who's in the top 1%. And I bet you're not either. All right. That's our common ground for today, folks. Have a good one.